Have you ever noticed that as we get older, our emotions can feel stronger, our energy less predictable, and our mood harder to explain? Some days you feel calm and steady. Other days everything feels heavier, even when nothing obvious is wrong. You may wake up feeling off without knowing why, or notice that certain days feel emotionally heavier than others, even when life itself hasn't changed. Many people are told that's just part of getting older. But in reality, something much more interesting is happening beneath the surface. Your brain, your body, and the food you eat are in constant communication. And after the age of 60, that conversation becomes more noticeable. Today, we're going to explore that connection, gently, clearly, and without exaggeration. No extreme diets, no dramatic promises, no fear-based information. Just a calm, science-informed look at how food can support emotional balance and mental clarity later in life. And by the end of this video, you'll have a few simple perspectives you can carry into your everyday routine, without pressure, rules, or overwhelm. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's begin. What emotions really are. We often think of emotions as something abstract, something that happens in the mind. But biologically speaking, emotions are signals. At the most basic level, the brain is constantly asking two questions. Is this safe or unsafe? Should I move toward this or away from it? That's it. Pleasure, discomfort, interest, hesitation, all of these begin as variations of those two signals. You can see this even in simple moments. When something smells good, we lean in. When something feels unpleasant, we pull back. These reactions are ancient. They're part of how humans have survived for thousands of years. And they don't disappear with age. If anything, they become more noticeable. Here's what's fascinating. As we age, our nervous system doesn't become weaker. In many ways, it becomes more refined, more sensitive, more aware of subtle changes. Think of it like this. A young person might walk through life without noticing small shifts in energy or mood. But someone over 60 often has decades of experience reading their own body. This isn't fragility, it's wisdom. The challenge is that we often mistake this sensitivity for a problem, when in reality, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to understand the signals our body is sending, to work with them rather than ignoring them or fighting against them. Let me give you an example. You wake up one morning and feel inexplicably irritable. Nothing happened, no bad news, no conflict, and yet there it is, this low-level frustration. Many people would try to push through it, or worse, blame themselves for feeling that way. But what if that irritability is actually your nervous system telling you something? Maybe you didn't sleep deeply. Maybe your blood sugar dropped overnight. Maybe your digestion was working harder than usual. The emotion isn't random. It's a messenger. And when we learn to listen to these messengers without judgment, we begin to understand ourselves in a completely different way. The constant conversation between body and brain. The brain does not operate in isolation. There is a constant flow of information coming from the body. Breathing, heart rhythm, digestion, internal comfort or discomfort. This information helps shape how we feel emotionally. That's why tension can show up in the stomach. Stress can affect digestion. Calm breathing can create a sense of ease. This is not psychological weakness, it's normal physiology. As we age, this communication can become more sensitive, which means paying gentle attention to the body matters more than ever. Now let's talk about something most people don't realize. Your body is always speaking to your brain. Always. Even right now, as you're watching this video, your body is sending thousands of signals every second. Scientists call this interoception, the ability to sense what's happening inside your body. Some people are naturally more aware of these signals. Others have learned to tune them out, often because life demanded it. But here's the interesting part. As we get older, ignoring these signals becomes harder, and that's actually a good thing. Because when we pay attention, we start to notice patterns. You might notice that you feel calmer after a walk. Certain foods leave you feeling light and clear, while others make you feel sluggish. That taking 3 deep breaths before a meal changes how you experience the food. These aren't random observations. They're your body teaching you what it needs. One of the most powerful shifts you can make after 60 is moving from controlling your body to listening to it. Control often leads to frustration. I think listening leads to partnership. And when you partner with your body rather than fight it, everything becomes easier. Your energy becomes more stable. Your mood becomes more predictable. Your overall sense of well-being improves, not because you're doing something extreme, but because you're finally working with your biology instead of against it. Food as information, not just calories. Food is more than fuel. From the body's perspective, food is information. Different foods send different signals. Some are associated with comfort, some with alertness, some with satisfaction or fullness. Much of this happens below conscious awareness. You may not always know why you crave something, or why one meal leaves you content while another does not. This is not a failure of willpower. It's the nervous system responding to signals it has evolved to recognize. Let's explore this idea more deeply because it changes everything. When you eat an apple, your body doesn't just receive 80 calories. It receives fiber, vitamins, natural sugars, water, and dozens of micronutrients, each one triggering different biological responses. When you eat a piece of bread, your body receives carbohydrates that break down into glucose, which signals insulin production, which affects energy levels and mood. When you eat a handful of nuts, your body receives fats and proteins that slow digestion and provide steady energy over time. None of these are good or bad. They're just different types of information. And here's what's crucial. Your body remembers. If you consistently eat a certain food and feel good afterward, your body starts to associate that food with safety and well-being. If you eat something and feel uncomfortable, your body learns to be cautious around it. This is why one-size-fits-all diets rarely work long-term, because they ignore the deeply personal nature of how each body responds to food. Your friend might thrive on a particular eating pattern, while you feel terrible on the same plan. That's not a character flaw. That's biology. After 60, this becomes even more important because your body's needs may have shifted from what they were at 30 or 40. Perhaps you need more protein to maintain muscle. Perhaps your digestion works better with smaller, more frequent meals. Perhaps certain foods that never bothered you before now cause discomfort. These changes aren't failures, they're adaptations. And when you approach them with curiosity instead of resistance, You discover what actually works for your body now, not what worked for someone else's body years ago. Simple nutrition habits for everyday well-being. Foods contain amino acids, basic building blocks the body uses for many processes. They support tissue repair, muscle maintenance, normal nervous system function. A varied diet tends to provide a wider range of these building blocks, which is one reason variety is often associated with better overall well-being. This isn't about perfection. It's about support, not control. Let's talk about something practical, the concept of eating the rainbow. You've probably heard this phrase before, but let's understand why it matters. Different colored foods contain different types of nutrients. Red foods often contain certain antioxidants. Green foods contain others. Orange, purple, yellow. Each color represents a different family of beneficial compounds. When you eat a variety of colors throughout the week, you're essentially giving your body a wider toolkit to work with. This doesn't mean every single meal needs to be a rainbow. It just means that over the course of a few days, including different colors, naturally provides more nutritional diversity. The same principle applies to protein sources. Fish provides different amino acids and fats than chicken. Beans provide different nutrients than eggs. Dairy offers something different than nuts. Again, this isn't about rigid rules. It's about gentle variety. One simple way to think about this: if you've been eating the same 5 foods for months, your body might benefit from a bit more variety. If you're already eating a wide range of foods, you're probably doing fine. Another important point: as we age, protein becomes especially important for maintaining muscle mass and overall strength. Many older adults don't realize they're not getting enough protein, simply because appetite changes or because protein-rich foods require more effort to prepare. But maintaining muscle isn't just about physical strength. It's also connected to metabolic health, bone density, balance, and even mood regulation. You don't need enormous amounts. You just need consistent, moderate amounts spread throughout the day. A portion of eggs at breakfast, some fish or chicken at lunch, a handful of nuts as a snack, some legumes at dinner. Small, steady inputs that give your body what it needs to maintain itself. Evening rhythms and a sense of calm. As the day winds down, the body naturally shifts gears. Energy slows, the nervous system prepares for rest. Many people notice that warm, simple meals, slower pacing, familiar routines can contribute to a feeling of comfort in the evening. These are not rules, just common patterns observed across many people. Listening to your own rhythm matters more than following trends. There's something deeply comforting about evening rituals. Maybe it's a cup of herbal tea. Maybe it's a light soup. Maybe it's simply sitting quietly for a few minutes before bed. These rituals aren't just psychological. They're biological signals to your nervous system that it's time to transition from doing to being. Many cultures around the world have understood this intuitively for centuries. In some traditions, the evening meal is lighter than lunch. In others, certain calming herbs are consumed before sleep. In others still, there are specific practices around winding down the day. Modern research is now confirming what these traditions have known all along. How we end our day significantly impacts how we sleep, and how we sleep significantly impacts how we feel the next day. This doesn't mean you need to follow strict rules. It just means being intentional about the transition. If you're eating a heavy meal at 9 p.m., and then immediately trying to sleep, your digestive system is still working hard, which can interfere with deep rest. If you're scrolling through stressful news right before bed, your nervous system stays activated, which makes it harder to fall asleep. Small adjustments, eating a bit earlier, choosing lighter evening foods, creating a calm pre-sleep routine can make a meaningful difference. And the beautiful thing is, these adjustments don't require willpower. They just require awareness. Fats, the brain, and general support. Certain dietary fats, particularly those found in fish and plant sources, are widely studied for their role in supporting normal brain function. Research suggests they may be associated with cognitive health, overall vitality, long-term well-being. Results vary from person to person, and these nutrients are best viewed as part of a broader lifestyle, not as standalone solutions. Let's talk about omega-3 fatty acids for a moment. These are the fats found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as in walnuts, flax seeds, and chia seeds. Decades of research have examined their potential role in brain health, particularly as we age. Now, I want to be clear. Omega-3s are not a magic pill. They won't reverse aging or prevent all cognitive decline, but they are one piece of a larger puzzle. The brain is made up largely of fat. It makes sense that the types of fats we consume might influence how well it functions. Some studies suggest that regular consumption of omega-3 rich foods is associated with better cognitive performance in older adults. Other studies suggest these fats may support mood regulation. But here's what matters most. These benefits seem to come from consistent, long-term consumption, not from taking a supplement for a few weeks and expecting miracles. If you're not currently eating fatty fish, you might consider adding it once or twice a week. If you don't eat fish, plant sources can also provide benefits, though in slightly different forms. The key is, make it sustainable, make it enjoyable, make it part of your normal routine, not a temporary fix. Digestion and how we feel day to day. The digestive system plays a surprisingly large role in how we feel. Comfort, energy levels, and mental clarity can all be influenced by how well digestion is working. One important thing to remember, there is no single diet that works for everyone. People respond differently to the same foods. What feels good for one person may not feel good for another. That's not a problem. It's individuality. Your digestive system is incredibly complex. It's not just about breaking down food. It's also home to trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and other microbes that influence everything from immune function to mood. This is called the gut microbiome, and it's one of the most exciting areas of modern research. Here's what we know. The diversity and balance of these microbes matter. A healthy, diverse microbiome is associated with better overall health. A disrupted or imbalanced microbiome is associated with various challenges. So how do you support a healthy microbiome? Primarily through diet. Fiber-rich foods, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, feed beneficial bacteria. Fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi introduce helpful bacteria. Processed foods, excess sugar, and chronic stress can disrupt the balance. But here's the thing, you don't need to obsess over this. You don't need to eat fermented foods at every meal or eliminate all processed foods forever. You need to gently lean toward foods that support your digestion and notice how you feel. Do you feel lighter and clearer after certain meals? Do you feel bloated or uncomfortable after others? Maybe you realize that dairy doesn't sit well with you. You may notice that beans are fine as long as you prepare them a certain way. Maybe you discover that eating slowly makes a huge difference in how comfortable you feel after a meal. This is practical wisdom, and it's worth far more than any generic diet plan. Mindset, attention, and the eating experience. How we eat matters, not just what we eat. Eating slowly, without distraction, and with a relaxed mindset often leads to a better experience overall. This isn't about thinking positively. It's about how the nervous system responds to safety and ease. When the body feels safe, it tends to function more smoothly. Let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine eating a meal while you're stressed, rushed, or anxious. Maybe you're scrolling through your phone or thinking about a problem, or eating while standing up. Now imagine eating the same meal while you're calm, seated comfortably, fully present with the food. Even though it's the same food, the experience and the physiological response will be completely different. Why? Because your nervous system has two modes, fight or flight, and rest and digest. When you're stressed, your body prioritizes survival over digestion. Blood flow shifts away from the digestive system. Enzyme production decreases. The food sits heavier in your stomach. When you're calm, the opposite happens. Your body recognizes that it's safe to digest. Blood flow increases to the digestive system. Enzymes are released. The food is broken down efficiently. This is why mindful eating isn't just a trendy concept. It's biology. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to be perfect at it. Even just taking 3 deep breaths before a meal can shift your nervous system into a more receptive state. Even just putting your phone away and eating without distraction can improve digestion. Even just chewing more slowly and noticing the flavors and textures can enhance satisfaction and reduce overeating. These are simple practices, but they're powerful. Hydration and everyday vitality. Here's something we often overlook: hydration. As we age, our sense of thirst can become less reliable. You might be mildly dehydrated without even realizing it. And dehydration affects everything. Energy levels drop, cognitive function slows, mood can become irritable, digestion becomes sluggish. The solution is simple. Drink water throughout the day, not all at once, just consistently. A glass when you wake up, a glass with each meal, a glass between meals. You don't need to force enormous amounts. You just need steady, regular intake. Some people find it helpful to keep a water bottle nearby as a visual reminder. Others set gentle reminders on their phone. Find what works for you. The goal isn't perfection. It's simply staying adequately hydrated so your body can function at its best. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice and does not replace guidance from a qualified healthcare professional. Any changes to diet or lifestyle should be discussed with your doctor or healthcare provider. Today's conversation wasn't about fixing yourself. It was about understanding yourself. Aging does not mean losing control. It often means learning to work with the body instead of against it. Small, respectful adjustments. Curiosity instead of pressure. Patience instead of extremes. I want to leave you with one final thought. The relationship you have with your body is the longest relationship of your life. It began the day you were born, and it will continue until the day you die. And like any relationship, it requires attention, care, and respect. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to follow every trend or rule. You just need to listen. Listen to what makes you feel good. Listen to what drains you. Listen to the subtle signals your body sends every single day. Because when you truly listen, without judgment, without forcing, without trying to control, your body will guide you toward what it needs. And that guidance is far more reliable than any diet book or wellness trend could ever be. If this kind of calm, thoughtful discussion resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for spending this time with me and for your interest in learning how the body and brain work together over time. Take care of yourself, and remember, you're doing better than you think.